Hopefully recording started. So today's agenda is to focus on the demo, improving their page load experience, the perceived performance, and the actual cumulative layout shift. To address those pain points, we are introducing the shimmer layout across different page types, and Justin's gonna demo their shimmer layout on homepage on Venia, Magento.com, and across different page types. So Justin, over to you.
Perfect, thank you. So just to start off, I've kind of pre-recorded all of these page transitions just because it's kind of hard to visually see what's going on because it transitions so quickly. So if you guys notice that the page transition is very slow, it's on purpose so that we can see what's going on a bit easier. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So to start off, what we did is we made a general shimmer component that we'll see here. Basically what it does is it replaces the content with a grayed out box that has a nice animation effect. So we'll see here once the page loads that the layered nav over here is already while it's loading, we're replacing with the shimmer effect, and in a later demo we'll see as well that the rest of the content as well, each component has its proper shimmer. And the important thing to note here is that the shimmer is defined at the component level. So you would have a shimmer for this layout, for the layered nav area, you would have a shimmer for each item. So it's really at the component level that we're creating this. We then went ahead and combined this all together for a root component shimmer. So we're giving a full page layout that combines all the different components together to create a root component shimmer. So for specific routes that we already know the type for when we're clicking on a link, so let's say a breadcrumb or in the menu, we know 100% of the time it's going to be a category. So we're able to, while it's fetching which page type it is, we're able to display a skeleton of a category page. So we'll see that here when I click on the breadcrumb. We're now seeing a full layout of a category page while we're loading its data. So we see that there's going to be a title here, and then the rest of the stuff loads in. And same thing happens if we click on a menu item. Hoodies, for instance, we're going ahead showing the full category skeleton while we're determining the page type, and then now we know the page type, and it's going ahead and loading the actual content of it. That's step 2. Now we added on top of this as well, specifically for Upward PHP, we're able to prefetch. So this is really good when we're navigating between pages after that initial load. But things like CLS, content layout shift from Lighthouse, those are calculated on the initial load. And since we don't have server-side rendering yet, we needed to find an intermediate solution for that. So we went ahead and modified the Upward PHP a little bit to prefetch some of that data, prefetch the page information that we're going to be visiting, so that first initial render is much quicker. So we'll see that here. I'm just adding a query string to bypass varnish cache. Now it's hitting the back end. And then we'll see here that we're loading right into the product skeleton, the shimmer. Once the backend responds. So again, things are slow because I've toggled the network throttling and cleared the backend's cache. So here we saw that there's no loading spinner. We're directly into the page. We already have the page type determined. We know it's a product page. We know it's a configurable product. That's why we're showing like an option skeleton over here. And in a moment, I'll pull in the developer tools so we can see exactly what data is injected into the app skeleton. So we have this script here, which basically inlines the page information. So we know that it's a configurable product. We have the idea of the product and all that. So basically, we're bypassing that initial call to the backend to determine the page type because we already have it. And we're also inlining the JavaScript for this page as well. So otherwise, there would be a slight delay while we're loading in the root component of the page. This way, it's preloaded and it's injected into the that initial render. So it makes things a lot quicker. So it's inline data for pages that we don't. So before I showed the root component shimmer, that's great for category pages when we're clicking on links that we already know the type of. We can go ahead and set that. But that's not always going to be the case. So when we're clicking on links on a CMS page or elsewhere, we don't necessarily know the type of the page we're going to be visiting. So what we've done there is we've delayed the transition to the new page while we're determining the page type. So we'll see here, I'll click on a product. So I've clicked on the product. We have this new loading bar animation over here. The URL stays the same while we're determining the page type, while it's making that call to the backend. Now we know the page type, and now it's changed over to the product page with this nice skeleton. So it just makes the perceived performance a lot better as well. And to optimize this, we've implemented a bit of a bypass as well. So for routes that we know we're not going to be poking the backend, so for instance, the search, we're not delaying the page transition, we're going to go right into it. So if we search, there's no page delay at all. It goes right into that transition. So shirt, submit, and goes right away. So that's optimized as well. And lastly, we also we added a shimmer for CMS content, so specifically for the slider, which was causing quite a bit of layout shift. While it's loading in that that image, we have a nice shimmer now instead. So if I go ahead and reload, we have this now shimmer, which is taking up the space that it should, so we get much less of a layout shift. So that's improved our scores. Yeah, that's the bulk of the work. So stats-wise, this was run locally, so anything that's like performance-based, we should take with a grain of salt. But for cumulative layout shift, we're able to get a good idea of the improvement. So so we see that we're going from 0.013 to 0.005, which is quite a good improvement. A bit of a jump as well in the average. And for product page, we're seeing a really good improvement, going from 0.03 to 0.001. So that's a really good improvement there as well. And then things to note. So the root component shimmer, that is now a new target, so it's tappable. If you have custom routes that you're wanting to include a new shimmer for, you can go ahead and tap it and add it in, similar to how you would add a route. So that's good. And there's also a new hook to generate that on-click event as well, to set the actual shimmer type while we're transitioning. And yeah, that's pretty much it for shimmers. It's a nice improvement, especially for the user, and we're also getting a good performance gain on stats as well. Any questions?
Yeah, we hear silent applauses, which is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, guys, this is all for the agenda. Do you have any questions to Justin or overall? Well, I assume that means no. Thank you, Justin, for sharing that. It's amazing. I'm really thrilled to see that big of a change in user experience and Lighthouse score improvements. So stay tuned. I'll publish the recording so whoever missed the call can watch it later. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Justin.